Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishikam Vitam Cha Om Ajnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shilakya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supuragam Garaganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipunam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanam Bhaktiyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Premna Vibija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Baranam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubhadam Mareka Sharanam Nyashisvara Shidaram Manchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevaja Patitanam Pavinabhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila chapter 12, the cleansing of the Gundicha Temple. Excellent. Shri Gundicha Mandiramatma Brindai Samarjayan Shalanatha Sagora Swachitavat Chitalam Ujwalam Cha Krishnopavesho Payikam Chakara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleaned the Gundicha Temple with his devotees and associates. In this way, he made it as cool and bright as his own heart, and thus he made the temple a befitting place for Lord Sri Krishna to sit. So this chapter is very important because in the end, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments how this cleansing of the Gundicha Temple is also the way in which a Vaishnava purifies his or her heart, because the Lord is sitting in everyone's heart, but at the same time we want to cleanse our heart so that it's a proper sitting place for the Lord. Sarvasya chaham riddhi sanivishto mata smritir jnanam aponam cha. The Lord is in everyone's heart. And if you want, just like here in the temple, we have the altars cleansed in order to be able to properly worship the Lord and receive the Lord. So we want to receive the Lord in that way in our cleansed heart. Jaya Jaya Gora Chandra, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Gora Chandra. All glories to Sri Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Sri Advaita Chandra. And all glories to the devotees of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Shri Basadi Gora Bhaktagan Shakti Deho Korijena Chaitanya Barnan. All glories to the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, headed by Srivas Thakur. I beg their power so that I can properly describe Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Purve Dakina Hoite Prabhu Jabe Aila Tarimilite Gajapati Utkantita Hoila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from his South Indian tour, Maharaj Prataparudra, the king of Orissa, became very anxious to meet him. Katakoite patre dila sarvabhaumatai prabhura agya hoya jari dekibarijai. The king sent a letter from his capital, Katak, to Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, entreating him to obtain the Lord's permission so that he could go and see him. So this is also continuing. We heard this in the last chapter, that the king is very anxious to meet with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And previously we heard that he asked Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya to arrange an interview, or to arrange, more correctly we could say, darshan, that the king could have the darshan of the Lord. But Sarvabhauma told him that this is very difficult because even in dreams, the Lord will not meet with a king. And then Mahaprabhu, when he was in South India, he had asked Ramananda Roy to join him in Jagannath Puri, to stay with him there. And that has some effect on Mahaprabhu, because he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord, that I gave the petition to the king, Maharaj Prataparudra, that I wanted to leave my job, my work in he's near the Godavari, near what's the name of the city? Maybe near Vishakhapatnam, I guess it is. Anyway, he told that I've been there, that place right on the Ganga is called Rajamundry. So he wanted to leave that service that he was doing, collecting taxes, whatever, and he wanted to stay with Mahaprabhu. And he told Mahaprabhu, as soon as I mentioned your name to the king, he immediately became ecstatic and told me how fortunate I was, and how the king is saying that if I someday have the fortune to meet with Mahaprabhu, then that will be my great, my great fortune. So Ramananda Roy said, the king gave me a full pension. Even though I'm not working anymore and I'm coming to stay with you, the king is giving me a full salary. That's how much appreciation he had for Mahaprabhu. The king sent a letter from his capital, Cuttack, to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, entreating him to obtain the Lord's permission so that he could go and see him. Bhattacharya likila prabhura agyana hoila punarapi rajatari patre pataila. Replying to the king's letter, the Bhattacharya wrote that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had not given his permission. After this, the king wrote him another letter. Prabhu nikate ache jatabhaktagan moralagi tasavare korya nivedan. In this letter, the king requested Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya please appeal to all the devotees associated with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and submit this petition to them on my behalf. Say sab doyalu more hoya sadai moralagi prabhupade koribe binoy. If all the devotees associated with the Lord are favorably disposed toward me, they can submit my petition at the lotus feet of the Lord. Tasabar prasade mili Sri Prabhu Rabai Prabhu Kripa Bina Mora Rajanahibai. By the mercy of all the devotees, one can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Without his mercy, my kingdom does not appeal to me. Jari more kripana koribe gorahari rajachari jogi hoiba bikari. If Gorahari, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will not show mercy to me, I shall give up my kingdom, become a mendicant, and beg from door to door. Bhattacharya patri deki charita haya bhaktagan bhashagela se patri loya. When the Bhattacharya received this letter, he became very anxious. He then took the letter and went to the devotees of the Lord. Savari miliya kohila raja bivaran pite se patri savare koraila darshan. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya met with all the devotees and described the king's wishes. Then he presented the letter to all of them for inspection. Patri deki sabarmane hoila bishmoy Prabhupada Gajapatir Eta Bhakti Hoy. Upon reading the letter, everyone was astonished to see that Maharaj Prataparudra had so much devotion for the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sabe kohe Prabhu tare kabu na milibe amisab kohe jadi dukkha se manibe. The devotees gave their opinion and said, the Lord will never meet the king. And if we requested him to do so, the Lord would surely feel very unhappy. So, Sarvabhauma kohe sabe chala ekbar militena koriba kohiba raja vyavahar. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then said, we shall go once again to the Lord, but we shall not request him to meet the king. Rather, we shall simply describe the good behavior of the king. So previously we heard that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he went to Mahaprabhu and asked him, can I say something without fear? And Mahaprabhu said, yes, you can speak without fear. But if I accept what you're saying, then all right. But if I don't like it, I will reject it. And then he told, well, the king, this King Maharaj Prataparudra, he's very anxious to meet with you, and he's actually a devotee of the Lord and everything. Then Mahaprabhu said, why are you presenting such a request to me, something that, such a terrible thing to me as suggesting meeting with the king? And so Mahaprabhu became upset with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's request. And so he completely rejected that. So here again, now, so Sarvabhauma tells the devotees, we shall go once again to the Lord, but we shall not request him to meet the king. Rather, we shall simply describe the good behavior of the king. Eta bole sabe gela Mahaprabhur stane kohite unmukha sabe se kohe bachane. Having thus reached a decision, they all went to the place of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There, although ready to speak, they could not even utter a word. Prabhu kohe ki kohite sabar agaman dekiye kohite chahana kaha ki karan. After they arrived at Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's place, the Lord, seeing them, said, what have you all come here to say? I see that you want to say something, but you do not speak. What is the reason? Nityananda kohe tomai chahe nivedite na kohile rohite nari kohite bayachite. Nityananda Prabhu then said, we want to tell you something. Although we cannot stay without speaking, we are still very much afraid to speak. Jogya joga tomai sab chahini bedite tomana milile raja chahi jogi hoite. We want to submit before you something that may or may not be befitting. The matter is this: unless he sees you, the king of Orissa will become a mendicant. He'll become a yogi. The king will become a yogi if you don't give him darshan. Kani mudra loy mui hoiba bikari raja boga nahichite mina gorahari. Nityananda Prabhu continued, the king has decided to become a mendicant and accept the sign of a mendicant by wearing an ivory earring. He does not want to enjoy his kingdom without seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, see, Nityananda is presenting this, and he's even, he's embellishing this a little bit. The king said, I will give up my kingdom. And here, Nityananda Prabhu is saying that if he doesn't get the darshan of Mahaprabhu, then he'll become a mendicant and he'll wear an ivory earring in his ears. In India, there's still a class of professional mendicants who are very much like the gypsies of Western countries. They know some magical art and mystical processes, and their business is to beg from door to door, sometimes pleading and sometimes threatening. Such mendicants are sometimes called yogis and sometimes kanafata yogis. The word kanafata refers to one who has put a hole in his ear to wear an earring made of ivory. Maharaj Prataparudra was so depressed by not getting to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he decided to become such a yogi. Ordinary men think that a yogi must have an ivory earring in his ear. But this is not the sign of a real yogi. Maharaj Prataparudra also thought that to become a mendicant yogi one must wear such an earring. Dekiba Dekiba se mukha chandra nayana boriya, dariba se parapadma hridaya tariya tuliya. Dekiba se mukha chandra nayana boriya, dariba se parapadma hridaya tuliya. Nityananda Prabhu continued, the king also expressed his desire to see the moon-like face of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his eyes' full satisfaction. He would like to raise the lotus feet of the Lord to his heart. Jajapi shuniya prabhur komala hoiman tatapi mahire kohe nishtura bachan. Hearing all these statements, Mahaprabhu's mind was certainly softened, but externally he wished to speak some harsh words. Thomas avaricha e amare laya rajake milahak ihan katakete giya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I can understand that you all desire to take me to Cuttack to see the king. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is naturally the reservoir of all kindness, and as soon as he heard the statement made by the king, his heart immediately softened. Thus the Lord was ready to go see the king even at Cuttack. He did not even consider allowing the king to come from Cuttack to Jagannath Puri to see him. It is significant that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so kind that he was ready to go see the king at Cuttack. Apparently, it was never expected that the king wanted to see the Lord at his place. But by way of being externally harsh, the Lord indicated that if the devotee so desired, he would go to Cuttack to see the king. And that actually happens later when Mahaprabhu is going to Vrindavan and going through Bengal. He actually goes to Cuttack and he does see the king. But that's where I'm jumping ahead by saying it. That's further on in the book. Paramartha Thakur, Paramartha Thakuka Loke Koribe Nindan, Loke Rahu Damodara Koribe Bartsan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, what to speak of spiritual advancement? All the people will blaspheme me, and what to speak of all the people? Damodar would chastise me. He's talking about Damodar Pandit. Damodar Pandit is always correcting the Lord. So he's saying, Mahaprabhu continued, what to speak of spiritual advancement? All the people will blaspheme me. And what to speak of all the people? Damodar would chastise me. Tomasabar agyayamin na mili rajare Damodar ko hejabe mili tabetare. I shall not meet the king at the request of all the devotees, but I shall do so if Damodar will give his permission. From the spiritual point of view, a sannyasi is strictly forbidden to see materialistic people, especially a king who is always engaged in counting pounds, shillings, and pence. Indeed, the meeting between a sannyasi and a king is always considered abominable. A sannyasi is always subjected to public criticism, and a small fault on his part is taken seriously by the public. People actually expect a sannyasi to preach and not take part in any social or political matters. If a sannyasi is subject to public criticism, his preaching will not be fruitful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically wanted to avoid such criticism so that his preaching work would not be hampered. It so happened that while the Lord was talking to his disciples at that time, the devotee Damodar Pandit was present. This Damodar Pandit was a very faithful devotee and a staunch lover of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. whenever there was anything that might touch or taint the character of the Lord, Damodar Pandit would immediately point it out, not even considering the exalted position of the Lord. It is sometimes said that fools rush in where angels dare not. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to point out Damodar Pandit's foolishness in coming forward to criticize the Lord. This is why the Lord stated that if Damodar Pandit would give him permission, he would go to see the king. There was deep meaning in this statement, for it is a warning that Damodar should not dare criticize the Lord anymore, for it was not befitting his position as a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was considered the guide and spiritual master of all the devotees living with him. Damodar Pandit was one of them, and the Lord rendered Damodar Pandit a special favor by warning him to avoid criticizing him any further. A devotee or a disciple should never attempt to criticize the Lord for his representative, the spiritual master. So, yes, this is Mahaprabhu is definitely saying something. There's also a note of sarcasm here that he's directing to Damodar Pandit. Oh yes, I'll go meet with the king if you all get permission, or specifically if Damodar Pandit will give me permission. So there's a note of sarcasm there, because, and I've seen this, whether it's with Srila Prabhupada or with Govinda Maharaj. Sometimes they'll ask the devotees, what is your opinion? You have to be very careful, because when they say that, if you make the wrong statement, then you're in trouble. Because if they ask opinion, if you say something, give an opinion, they'll say, no, this is very foolish. And then they'll say, for this reason. So Damodar Pandit, he's giving advice to the Lord, and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, he gives advice to the Lord on matters which are not of any importance to him himself, not things that he does, not social customs or things that he does in society, but things that he chastises the Lord for doing. For instance, Mahaprabhu is meeting with one young boy, and this boy has some physical resemblance to Krishna, and Mahaprabhu immediately has some liking for him, and he's giving some favor to the boy, and Damodar Pandit is furious. And he says, oh, you do not understand that this boy's mother is a widow. But not only she's a widow, she's a good devotee. She's a widow and she's a good devotee. But she has one fault. She's very beautiful. So, if you give your favor to this boy, then people will think that you're interested in the boy's mother. So then, and this kind of criticism of Mahaprabhu, it's not proper. Mahaprabhu just has some affection for the boy. So, obviously, but Damodar Pandit's giving a warning, because these things may not be seen good in social, in society. But nobody's taking notice except Damodar Pandit. So, but then Mahaprabhu tells him, oh, actually, you have great love for me, and you're very good. You have so much affection for me that you're trying to take care of me. Then Mahaprabhu tells him, this is a very good thing, because my mother, she's there in Navadip by herself. Well, the devotees are there too, but she's by herself. So you're a good person to see that nobody transgresses social custom So you go to my mother in Navadip and you look after her. So then Mahaprabhu, it's like a little bit of a, it's a nice thing in one sense to Damodar Pandit, but it's also a little bit of a punishment to him for criticizing the Lord. Yes, go take care of my mother and see that nobody's doing anything wrong with the devotees. And after you've done that, come back here. So, Damodar kohe tumi swatantra ishwar kartavya sab tomara gochar. Damodar immediately replied, my Lord, you are the fully independent Supreme Personality of God. Since everything is known to you, you know what is permissible and what is not permissible. Amikon kutra jiva tomake biri diva apane milibe tare taho dekiba. I am merely an insignificant jiva. So what power do I have to give directions to you? By your own personal choice, you will meet with the king. I shall see it. Raja tomare sneha kore tumi sneha bas tara snehe karabe tare tomara parash. The king is very much attached to you, and you are feeling affection and love toward him. Thus I can understand that by virtue of the king's affection for you, you will touch him. Jajapi Ishwara tumi parama swatantra tatapi swabhavehao prema paratantra. Although you are the Supreme Personality of God and are completely independent, still you are dependent on the love and affection of your devotees. That is your nature. Nityananda kohe aiche hoy konjan jay tomare kohe kora raja darshan. Nityananda Prabhu then said, who is there in the three worlds who can ask you to see the king? Kintu anuragi loker swabhave koi ishtana paile nija pranase chadai. Still, isn't it the nature of an attached man to give up his life if he does not attain his desired object? Jagika brahmani sab tahate praman Krishna lage patiage chadileka pran. For instance, some of the wives of the Brahmins who were performing sacrifices gave up their lives in the presence of their husbands for the sake of Krishna. This refers to the day Lord Sri Krishna and his cowherd boys and flocks of animals were present in the pasturing grounds near Mathura. At that time, the cowherd boys, being a little hungry, requested food, and Lord Krishna asked them to go to the Brahmins who were engaged nearby in performing yajna or sacrifice, and to get some food from that yajna. Being so ordered by the Lord, all the cowherd boys went to the Brahmins and asked them for food, but they were denied. After this, the cowherd boys begged food from the wives of the Brahmins. All these wives were very much devoted to Lord Krishna in spontaneous love, and as soon as they heard the request of the cowherd boys and understood that Krishna wanted some food, they immediately left the place of sacrifice. They were very much chastised for this by their husbands, and they were ready to give up their lives. It is the nature of a pure devotee to sacrifice his life for the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So with the cowherd boys, the cows are always moving around. They're moving with the cows to different pasturing grounds, and Krishna expresses some hunger, and so the cowherd boys go to approach some nearby Brahmins to beg food from them. And they're doing a sacrifice. But those Brahmins, they feel bothered by the cowherd boys. Oh, these boys, can't you see we're doing something serious here? We're doing a sacrifice. We don't have time for this right now. We have to come. So the Brahmins more ignored the request of the cowherd boys. But the Brahmins' wives, they immediately went to take food to Krishna. And some of them were restrained by their husbands, and they couldn't do so, and they gave up their bodies and went to see Krishna in their transcendental body. So, for instance, still, isn't it the nature of an attached man to give up his life if he does not attain his desired object? For instance, some of the wives of the Brahmins who were performing sacrifices gave up their lives in the presence of their husbands for the sake of Krishna. Well, they gave up their life to go. They're being restrained by their husbands. No, you can't go. And they're holding them back. So they just leave their bodies and, we're going to Krishna anyway. Ek juktiache jadi gora abadan tumina mili leha tare rahe tarab pran. Nityananda Prabhu then submitted one suggestion for the Lord's consideration. There is a way, he suggested, by which you need not meet the king, but which would enable the king to continue living. Ek bahirvas jari deho kripakori tahapaya prana rake tomara ashadori. If you, out of your mercy, send one of your outer garments to the king would live hoping to see you sometime in the future. So the outer garments, it says, is bahirvash. Bahirvash means literally outer garment. But bahirvash specifically means the shortened dhoti of a sannyasi or the mendicants. They don't wear the full long dhotis; they wear shortened dhotis. So that's called a bahirvas. Sri Nityananda Prabhu was thus very tactfully suggesting that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give some of his old clothing to the king. Even though the king was not to meet the Lord, the king would then be pacified by receiving such cloth. The king was very anxious to see the Lord, yet it was not possible for the Lord to see him. Just to resolve the situation, Nityananda Prabhu suggested that the Lord send an old piece of clothing. Thus the king would understand that the Lord was showing mercy to him. The king would then not do anything drastic like giving up his life or becoming a mendicant. Prabhu kohe tumi sab parama bidvan je balo hoy se kora samadan. The Lord said, since you are all very learned personalities, whatever you decide I shall accept. So this Mahaprabhu is glorified at the same time, saying some words of praise to his devotees, but also being a little dismissive of the whole situation regarding the king. The Lord says, since you are all very learned personalities, whatever you decide, I shall accept. Tabe Nityananda Gosai Govindara Pash, Magya Loila Prabhu Ek Bahirvash. Lord Nityananda Prabhu then obtained an external garment, or sannyas garment, and Lord Nityananda Prabhu then obtained an external garment used by the Lord by requesting it from Govinda. Se Bahirva Sarvabhauma Pashtila Sarvabhauma Se Bastra Rajare Patala. Thus Nityananda Prabhu delivered the old cloth into the care of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya sent it to the king. Bastrapaya Rajar Hoila Nanditaman Prabhu Rupa Kore Kore Bastrera Pujan. When the king received the old cloth, he began to worship it exactly as he would worship the Lord personally. This is also the conclusion of the Vedic injunctions. Since the Supreme Personality of God is the absolute truth, everything in relation to him is on the same platform. The king had great affection for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and although he did not see the Lord, he had nonetheless already attained the conclusion of devotional service. Immediately upon receiving the cloth from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the king began to worship it, accepting it as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord's clothing, bedding, slippers, and everything required as an ordinary necessity are all transformations of Seish, Vishnu, an expansion of Sri Baladev. Thus the cloth and other paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are but other forms of the Supreme Lord. Everything connected to the Lord is worshipable. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs us that just as Krishna is worshipable, Krishna's place, Vrindavan, is also worshipable. And as Vrindavan is worshipable, similarly, the paraphernalia in Vrindavan, the trees, roads, river, everything is worshipable. A pure devotee thus sings Jaya Jai Vrindavan Abhasi Jata Jan. All glories to the residents of Vrindavan. If a devotee has a staunch devotional attitude, all these conclusions will be awakened or revealed within the heart. Yasya deve parabhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaiti katita yarta prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. So that's from Svetasvatara Upanishad. Thus, following in the footsteps of Maharaj Prataparudra and other devotees, we should learn to worship everything belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is referred to by Lord Shiva as Tadiyanam. In the Padma Purana it is stated, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnuara Radhanam Param Tasmat Parattaram Devi Tadiyanam Samarchanam. O Devi, the most exalted system of worship is the worship of Lord Vishnu. Greater than that is the worship of Tadiya, or anything belonging to Vishnu. Sri Vishnu is Satchidananda Vigraha. Similarly, the most confidential servant of Krishna, the spiritual master, and all devotees of Vishnu are Tadiya. The Satchidananda Vigraha, Guru, Vaishnavas, and things used by them must be considered Tadiya, and without a doubt worshipable by all living beings. So this verse here from the Padma Purana, it's a very nice verse. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. Because Parvati, Devi, she's asking a question to her husband, Lord Shiva. And she says, of all kinds of worship, what's the best worship? So then Shiva replies, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. The most exalted system of worship is the worship of Lord Vishnu. So then that's but it's, Parvati who's asking, and she's saying, what's the best form of worship? And Shiva replies, the best form of worship is the worship of Vishnu. So then she may think, well, I'm always serving my husband Shiva, then what's my position? And then Shiva finishes the verse, Tasmat parattaram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Greater than the worship of, but greater is the worship of Tadiya, or anything belonging to Vishnu, or those devotees who are serving Lord Vishnu, the worshippers of Lord Vishnu. So then Parvati is considering, yes, my Shiva, he is always worshiping Vishnu. So she's asking, what's the best form of worship? Shiva says the best form of worship is the worship of Vishnu. Then she may think, but what about me? And then he says this, Tasmat parattaram Devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Devi is reference to Parvati. And he says, but even better than the worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of those who are serving Lord Vishnu. So then she thinks, well, that is my husband, Shiva. He is always serving Vishnu. Ramananda Roy Jabe Dakina Hoite Aila Prabhu Sange Rohite Rajake Nivedila. After returning from his service in South India, Ramananda Roy requested the king to allow him to remain with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tabe Raja Santoshe Dhahare Agyadila Apane Milana Lage Shadite Lagila. When Ramananda Roy requested the king to allow him to stay with the Lord, the king immediately gave him permission with great satisfaction. As for the king himself, he began to solicit Ramananda Roy to make a meeting arrangement. Mahaprabhu Mahakripa Korana Tomare More Milibare Abhashyak Shadhibe Tahare. The king told Ramananda Roy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very merciful to you. Therefore, please solicit my meeting with him without fail. So the Lord has much affection for you. You please make some petition on my behalf. Eksange Duijan Ketre Jabe Aila Ramananda Roy Tabe Prabhure Milila. The king and Ramananda Roy returned together to Jagannath Kshetra Puri, and Sri Ramananda Roy met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Mahaprabhu went to South India, when he first came to the Godavari, he saw Ramananda Roy. They had that's the eighth chapter of Madhya-lila. It's called the Ramananda Sambad. That's all the conversations that Mahaprabhu has with Ramananda Roy, and particularly Mahaprabhu actually takes the position of asking questions, and Ramananda Roy is giving the answers. Of course, in the beginning of the chapter, it says that Mahaprabhu is like the ocean of all conclusive, all Siddhanta. Mahaprabhu is the ocean of all conclusive Siddhanta, and Ramananda Roy is drawing his answers. He's drawing his statements like a cloud draws water from the ocean. The water comes from the ocean. It stays there in the form of the cloud, and the cloud pours water or rain back on the ocean. So although apparently Ramananda Roy is giving answers to Mahaprabhu, actually he's getting everything from Mahaprabhu himself, who's the Supreme Lord. But Mahaprabhu takes the position of asking questions, and that's usually the position of the disciple who asks the spiritual master. Mahaprabhu is asking like as if he were the disciple and Ramananda Roy being the spiritual master. To the point that Ramananda Roy even objects to that you are so great, why? And then Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Kanino Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hoy. Mahaprabhu says, I'm not looking at it in this way. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi. Someone may be a Vipra, a Brahmin. Someone may be a Brahmin, because Mahaprabhu himself is a Brahmin. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi. Someone may be a Brahmin sannyasi, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi, Shudra Keninoi. Or it may be, as Ramananda Roy characterizes himself as a Shudra. Mahaprabhu says, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi, Shudra Keninoi. Someone may be a Brahmin sannyasi, someone may be a Shudra, because that's how Ramananda Roy said, I'm a Shudra. Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Keninoi. Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guroi. But if he can give, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta, if he can speak and give pure Krishna Katha, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guroi, then he is accepted as a spiritual master. And later, when Ramananda Roy, later, when Mahaprabhu went to Varanasi, he went to Prayag, he met with Sanatana Goswami, he met with Rupa Goswami. He told them, whatever I'm explaining to you is what I heard from Ramananda Roy. So, like that. So Mahaprabhu met with Ramananda Roy going down to South India, and then coming back on his return trip, he met again with Ramananda Roy, and then he said, now you please come with me, and you will spend the rest of your life with me. And Ramananda Roy said, yes, I will do that, but it is not good that I go with you because I have to wrap up everything. I will be traveling with many elephants and men and everything, because he's like the governor. He's like the governor where he's at. Elsewhere it says he's like the governor of Madras, although Madras is much further south. But so apparently has some range of responsibility. I think it's Vijayawada is near where he meets with Mahaprabhu, I believe. So anyway, he tells Mahaprabhu, you go ahead and I'll come later because I have to finish everything. And it says, the king and Ramananda Roy returned together to Jagannath Puri, and Sri Ramananda Roy met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada Prema Bhakti Janai-la Rajar Prasanga Paya Aiche Kohe Barbar. At that time, Ramananda Roy informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the ecstatic love of the king. Indeed, as soon as there was some opportunity, he repeatedly informed the Lord about the king. So this is the difference also between Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Roy. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is a great pandit. He's said to be like Brihaspati in his knowledge. And he's also received the mercy of Mahaprabhu, so he's become fully dedicated Vaishnava, whereas before he was an impersonalist. So he's very great, and at the same time, his way of presenting the petition of the king to Mahaprabhu is not very diplomatic. It's very blunt. Oh, there's a king that wants to meet with you. He's a great devotee. He's Maharaj Prataparudra, and he has so much affection for you. He must meet with you. It's not presented in. But Ramananda Roy, when he's talking to Mahaprabhu, his way is much. He's telling, when I wanted to come with you, I asked the king, and he was so moved just hearing your name, and he granted me a full pension, and he said, you're so fortunate that you can be serving Mahaprabhu. So Ramananda Roy's way is more to glorify the king, but not so bluntly as to say, he must meet with you now. So Mahaprabhu's heart is being softened by the statements of Ramananda Roy. At that time, Ramananda Roy informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the ecstatic love of the king. And indeed, as soon as there was some opportunity, he repeatedly informed the Lord about the king. Raja Mantri Ramananda Vyavahare Nipuna Raja Priti Kohe Dravaila Paraburmana. Sri Ramananda Roy was indeed a diplomatic minister for the king. His general behavior was very expert, and simply by describing the king's love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gradually softened the Lord's mind. A diplomat in the material world knows how to deal with people, especially in political affairs. Some of the great devotees of the Lord, like Ramananda Roy, Raghunath Das Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and Rupa Goswami, were government officers and had a background of very opulent householder life. Consequently, they knew how to deal with people. In many instances, we have seen the diplomacy of Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, and Ramananda Roy employed in the service of the Lord. When Raghunath Das Goswami's father and uncle were to be arrested by government officials, Raghunath Das Goswami hid them and personally met the government officers and settled the affair diplomatically. This is but one instance. Similarly, Sanatana Goswami, after resigning his ministership, was thrown in jail when he bribed the attendant in the jail so he could leave the clutches of the Nawab and live with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now we see Ramananda Roy, a most confidential devotee of the Lord, diplomatically soften the heart of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, despite the fact that the Lord definitely decided not to meet the king. The diplomacy of Ramananda Roy and entreaties of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and all the other great devotees succeeded. The conclusion is that diplomacy used for the service of the Lord is a form of devotional service. So, I remember Govinda Maharaj would often refer to someone as a Sharo Vaishnav. Sharo Vaishnav means, should be the general behavior of Vaishnav, that Sharo means simple. He's a very simple Vaishnav. And that he would say that as praise of somebody. Oh, you're a Sharo Vaishnav. You're a very simple, straightforward, clean Vaishnav, it means. But he sometimes would use it in a different way, sometimes a little sarcastically, by saying, oh, he's a Sharo Vaishnav, which means a little bit the idea of, doesn't have any tact, doesn't have any way, he would say, in other words, politely saying he's like a country bumpkin. He's a very Sharo Vaishnav. So, it is said that a devotee should not be diplomatic. He should be straightforward. But we also see that those who are advanced devotees, and for instance, all these personalities were ministers in the government. Sanatan Rupa, then Raghunath Das Goswami, he had some relationship with his father and with the government. Ramananda Roy. So they knew how to settle things with the Lord and to be, they knew how to deal with the Lord. So in this case, Ramananda Roy is softening the Lord's heart towards the king, Prataparudra Maharaj. So I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue. And I'll sing Hari Hari. As I said before, we also will have our Sunday feast scheduled from an hour from now, 10:30. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jadavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Chariyashtatara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajaka Chariyashtatara Sadashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchi Nanda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Premsi Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasandi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagwat ki jai. Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki jai. Shri Navadip Dham ki jai. Shri Dham Mayapur ki jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Saparshada Shri Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Kuladvip ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai. Ganga Devi ki jai. Tulasi Maharani ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kunarada Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Ju ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Shri Kartik Brata ki jai. Shri Damodar Brata ki jai. Shri Niyama Seva ki jai. Shri Urja Brata ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bo.
Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.